Online television and radio. www.ajisebiyoyoradio.com. Ẹ ṣe lẹ́gbọ́ ìkànnì wa ọ̀ Ajíṣebí Ọ̀yọ́ láàárí Ọ̀yọ́ ìṣebí bàbá ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan.
Good day, everyone. You are welcome back to the recurrence of our program called Know Your Rights Under the Law from the radio station of Ajíṣebí Ọ̀yọ́ online radio and TV. My name is Abdullahi Adebayo Abdurrauf. On the program that we have now, we've been discussing a very important topic since some months ago, where we were discussing the rights to life under the law and those things that we must know about our right to life under the law. We've been able to explain what is life and what is the right to life in itself. We'll be able to explain what are those things that a person might do to his own self or to our own self, that if it causes pain or even grievous body harm or even the death of the patient, the law will forbid it, and the law has forbidden it, and the law will criticize the patient for doing so. And we've talked about those things that are not allowed and that are not permitted by another person to do such a thing for us. We've discussed such a kind of a thing. We've also been able to discuss what are those things that a person might do to us or that we might do to another person, that if it causes the death of a person to which we cause that thing at that particular moment in time, or it causes the death of us when that thing is done to us, in that circumstance, the law will not do anything for such a person. And by implication, the law will just free such a person and the person will just go scot-free. We've discussed this kind of a thing. And we've also discussed what are those offenses that are punishable with death in Nigeria, under where we discussed the offense of treachery, the offense of treason, the offense of trial by ordeal that result in death, the offense of armed robbery, the offense of murder, the offense of sodomy, the offense of the offense of sodomy, the offense of many offenses. We were able to discuss up to 9 offenses here that are punishable with death in the Federation of Nigeria, and that will mark the end of the topic where that we have been discussing before. Today, by the special grace of God, we shall start another new, very interesting topic, which is known as the rights of a landlord and the right of a tenant under the law. But before we jump into what are those rights that a landlord have under the law over his tenant, what are those rights that a tenant have under the law over his landlord, who is a landlord and who is a tenant? This is fundamental, and we must firstly explain this before we go further, because there is no way we can be able to ascertain what the right is without even knowing who owns that right, who will enjoy that right, who are those ones that are entitled to enjoy that right at any particular moment in time under the law. So for us to be able to ascertain, to underscore, to understand this right effectively, we must firstly know who are those people to which that right is entitled. That is the essence of our program today. We shall discuss, we shall explain, we shall vibrate on what is known as the right, or what is known as who is a landlord and who is a tenant. According to Section 2 of the Recovery of Premises Act, a law that was enacted in 1945, it explained that a landlord is a person who is entitled to immediate reversion of a premises. Who is entitled to immediate reversion of a premises. It means that even though there might be agreement between a landlord and a tenant, and even another person at a particular moment in time, but who will that property go back to immediately after their agreement expires? Who will hold on to that property immediately after the agreement expires? Who is the person that has unhindered right and access to own that property at any particular moment in time? Is a landlord. That is first of the perspective to which the law that is known as the Recovery of Premises Act of 1945 defines who is a landlord. Another thing is that a landlord can also come from the perspective of what is known as joint tenancy and tenancy in common. Don't be confused. I'm talking about landlord. I'm also talking about tenancy here. It's just a name given to a particular to a particular situation where many people might own a property at a particular moment in time. We're talking about if we're talking about the joint tenancy, we're talking about a situation whereby two or more people collate money together, combine their money together, combine their money and resources to acquire a property. And this property is not owned by individual, it is coordinately owned by them. It is jointly owned by them. And all of them has equal right and equal access to that land, to that property, to that house, to that premises at any particular moment in time. For example, now, a husband and a wife can join hands together to build a house, to have a property. This is also known as a joint property. Brothers and sisters, friends may contribute money and buy a property. It's also known as joint property. In as much as when they are buying the property, when they are making the agreement between themselves, they write it unequivocally, expressly, that this property is a joint property, jointly owned by Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, up to Mr. XYZ. So in this particular moment in time, a joint tenancy, under the joint tenancy, all those people that gathers their money to buy such a property at a particular moment in time are what? Are landlord. One. And that of tenancy in common is that even though two people or many people might join out together to buy a property, but they don't have equal share in that property. For example, now, it may be that maybe I and my friends, we want to combine money together, to want to contribute money together to buy a property, but in the fund that we need to buy the property, I may contribute like 90,000 naira, for example. When the property is being sold at the rate of 100,000 naira, my friend contribute 10,000 naira, and we both own the property. That is not joint property. That is tenancy in common. Tenancy in common. And when we are drafting our agreement, we will spell it out unequivocally that this property that you are seeing, we don't own it, we don't own it jointly. I own 95% of the interest in this property, and this other man owns 10% or any percent of what the person might contribute to the acquiring of such a property at that particular moment in time. So the main difference between that of joint tenancy and that of tenancy in common is that if any of those people that join hands together to buy a property under joint tenancy dies, not his heir, not his children, not his family will own or will inherit or will take over his own share from that property. No, the share will go to the person with which they contribute money together to acquire that property at that particular moment in time. But that of tenancy in common, if a person dies after they have joined out together to buy such a property. Yes, since they have been able to differentiate their shares, and if they are owning their shares, and it is expressly stated in their agreement that so have 40% in this property, so have 10%, so have 5%. So their children, their people, their heirs may come and take over their share. They may sell it, they may own it, they may desire to do anything that they like with that property at that particular moment in time. So this is the essence of tenancy in common and joint tenancy. And whenever you are buying a property as a landlord, don't just buy the property. Make sure that you have a lawyer that will give you an advice, that will advise you legally on what kind of tenancy are you trying to approach, and what are your rights under this kind of agreement that you are trying to bind with another person. Because if you bind an agreement under that of joint tenancy, if you die, your children will not have entitlement to anything. Even if you are living in the house, the other man will just tell your family to pack their load out of the house, because he will be the one that will inherit it. But if it is that of joint that tenancy in common, your shares will have been shared. It will have been defined, expressly defined under the agreement. So if you die in that kind of situation, of course you own your share, and your family will have entitlement to it. So under what this law called a landlord, if in a case of joint tenancy or tenancy in common, a person among them have what is known as immediate reversion of the property, such a person is also known as a tenant, as a landlord rather. This is the second perspective. And the third perspective is that a person who is authorized, maybe a lawyer that is authorized to manage a property on behalf of the landlord, or an agent that is authorized to manage a property on behalf of a landlord, is also a landlord within the confinement of this law, Recovery of Premises Act of 1945. And the fourth one is that a person that is authorized by the state government to oversee the property of the state government, maybe a land, a premises, or a building. That person that is overseeing, that is authorized to oversee, to manage that property at that particular moment in time, is also known as a landlord. Now, I think that by now we've been able to get a clear picture of who a landlord is under the law. Now, who is a tenant? According to this law also, a tenant is a person that is occupying a premises, save a bona fide owner of that premises. A person that is legally occupying a premises, save a bona fide owner of that premises. Who is a bona fide owner of the premises? Is the owner, is the landlord, is the owner, the one who built an house. If you occupy an house that you are building, you are not a tenant in that house, you are a landlord. So, but if you transfer the right of possession, which is tenancy, to another person, that person is a tenant, and you, at that particular moment, you have become a landlord. So the law is now defining who a tenant is as a person who is legally occupying a premises. But the person is not the person who has a bona fide entitlement, who is a bona fide owner of the property. And under this, we are able to list out 5 circumstances where a person can be a tenant, and the person will be enjoying all the entitlement of a tenant under the law. The first one is that a person who has an agreement, a tenancy agreement with the landlord, is a landlord. Is a tenant rather. If, for example, now I, as a student, I am living in Kano. My father doesn't have any house in Kano. I have to rent an apartment in Kano. So if I go into agreement, if I enter an agreement with a landlord here in Kano, a tenancy agreement for that matter, I am a tenant in that house, since we have both have a tenancy agreement over a period of time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or whatsoever. That is one of the definitions of who a tenant is. Another definition of who a tenant is that a person that enters that house, that comes to occupy that house with the consent of a person that has agreement with the landlord. I was the one who has an agreement with the landlord. I now bring in my friend or even my girlfriend or even one of my relatives or my family or my employee into that house. We are living together. They are also tenants in that house. They must be enjoying the same entitlement, the same rights that I will be enjoying in that house. That is the second definition of who is a tenant. A person that has agreement with the landlord and a person that comes into the house through the person that has the agreement with the landlord. If I bring my family into the house that I rent from a landlord, my family that I bring into the house, they are tenants in that house also, and they must enjoy everything that I will be enjoying in that house. They will be enjoying it too. That is what the law says. Another thing is that a person who holds offer after the landlord agreement or tenancy agreement has expired. Now, I pay for 1 year, but my 1 year has expired, maybe last month, and this month the landlord the tenancy agreement is no more subsisting because it has ended. The tenancy has expired last month. In this month, as I'm still living in that house and my tenancy has expired, I'm still a tenant. I must still be enjoying everything that I should be enjoying when my tenancy agreement is still subsisting. That is the third one. I'm still a tenant in that house. That is the third one. And the fourth one is that anybody that I bring into that house to come and live with me or even to come and occupy that premises on my behalf, they are still a tenant, even if my tenancy agreement with the landlord has expired. Let's say, for instance, now, I have a company. I rent a house beside my company for my staffs. I am the one that has agreement with the landlord, but it is my employee that is living in that house. They are tenants in that house. Now, if that agreement that I have with the landlord now expire, for the fact that my agreement with the landlord has expired does not extinguish their right as a tenant in that house. Even though they are my employee and they were not the one that have the agreement with the landlord, the tenancy agreement with the landlord, they are still tenants in that house, even though the agreement that I have with the landlord has expired. That is the fourth thing. And the third definition of who a tenant is a situation whereby, for example, now I am a tenant in a house. I have the agreement with the landlord. The landlord now sell that house to another landlord. In that house, even after that former landlord has sold the house to the new landlord, I am still a tenant in that house, and I must still be enjoying that house as a tenant. This is what the law is saying under Section 2 of the Recovery of Premises Act of 1945. That means that the new landlord has bought my tenancy with the house when he was buying it, and I must still remain in that house until when the law says no. So if at that particular moment in time my tenancy is still subsisting, the tenancy agreement, the money that I pay, the year that we agree upon has not yet expired, I must still stay in that house and continue enjoying that house, because in that house I'm still a tenant. And even if after then my tenancy has expired, I still have the right to stay in that house until when the law says no. But when will the law says no? When will the law say, oh yeah, Mr. Abdullahi, pack out your load out of that house? We shall be explaining this in the subsequent lectures. Before I end the lecture for today, I told you last week, and I must still say it today too, that if you want to learn the creation of video, or you want to learn how to edit video, you want to learn how video artifacts are being created, how you can also be creating all those kind of film tricks that you are watching in the movies, how you can also create a video artifact, maybe for your own self or for a brand, maybe to make money to or to project your business to the world, you can contact me directly with the phone number 09034904883. That is what I do. I do render service in all these things, and I do teach people who want to learn this thing. If you want to learn, you can go on to seller.co. If you go on to seller.co, you will see my work there, or you contact me directly for the study material. The study material for now is just 2,500 naira only, promo price, before it refers back to its 5,000 naira that it will later be. For now, it is being sold at the rate of 2,500. So if you want to learn the art of video editing, use this opportunity to grab it and buy the course and learn the course and start seeing wonder. That is the first of the information that I will have for you on the program for today. And the second information that I have for you on the program today is that at Bled Academy, we need sponsors that will be sponsoring our programs. Everything that you see us doing, we are expending a lot of money to make this thing come to life. And please, please, and please, we need your help. We need sponsors. So before I end the program for today, let me go on to Facebook and see the comment of our dear good people, what they have for us. What do the people have for us under the comment section? So if there is any question, I will provide answer to them. And if there is no question, I will have to acknowledge those people that have sent us a message or two under the comment section. So before then, okay, I could see a message from Mr. Akinwande Ilerioluwa. Mr. Akinwande Ilerioluwa. It says, "Good morning, sir. I really enjoy your program. May the Lord strengthen your elbow." Thank you very much for watching the program, and thank you very much for enjoying the program. We need this kind of feedback. Your feedback is a kind of fuel. It is a fuel that fuels the vehicle of our inspiration and our motivation. If you give us feedback, it energizes us, it increases our energy, it makes us to do better. Give us feedback. We are in need of feedbacks, and we are very grateful for this feedback. We are very grateful to Mr. Akinwande Ilerioluwa. Mr. Akinwande, we are very grateful. And also, if you want to buy data bundle, I am saying it again, you want to buy data bundle from a reliable vendor, the one that you will buy data from and your mind will be at peace, contact AA Ventures to buy your data bundle. Contact AA Ventures to buy your data bundle or bundles. You can contact AA Ventures on this phone number that I will call onto the screen now, which is 07025714351. 07025714351. That is whom you can always trust if you are to buy data bundle from anybody. Contact them on WhatsApp or even through phone call or even text messages. They will be available to you and render their services to you at any particular moment in time. So this will bring us to the end of our program for today, and I'm very grateful to everyone that has joined us since the beginning of this program up to the end of this program. My name is Abdullahi Adebayo Abdurrauf. Do have a wonderful legal day ahead.